What is state police really? Every time insecurity dominates the headlines in Nigeria, one phrase quickly returns to the national conversation: state police. You hear politicians debating it on television, governors calling for it at conferences, security experts arguing over it in newspaper columns, and on social media, thousands of Nigerians passionately defending or condemning the idea. Some believe state police could finally solve Nigeria's growing security challenges. Others fear it could become one of the most dangerous political tools in the country's history. But beyond the heated debates and political speeches lies a much simpler question. Dunson had detached the state police. And why has the idea become one of the most controversial public policy discussions in Nigeria? To understand the debate, we first need to understand how policing currently works. Nigeria operates what is known as a centralized police system. That means there is only one official police force responsible for law enforcement across the entire country: Nigeria Police Force. Whether an officer is stationed in Lagos, Maiduguri, Port Harcourt, Enugu, or Kano, that officer belongs to the same organization and ultimately answers to one national chain of command led by the Inspector General of Police. Although each state has a commissioner of police, operational authority rests within the national command structure. This system has existed since Nigeria became a republic, and it was strengthened over the years to ensure that policing remained under the control of the federal government. State police would fundamentally change that arrangement. Instead of relying solely on one national police force, each state would establish its own police service. These state police organizations would recruit officers, train personnel, provide equipment, and focus primarily on maintaining law and order within their respective states. The federal government would still retain responsibility for national security matters such as terrorism, border protection, organized crime, counterintelligence, and offenses that extend beyond state boundaries. In simple terms, Nigeria would operate multiple layers of policing instead of only one. Supporters argue that such a system would bring policing closer to the people. But why has this conversation become so urgent? Nigeria faces a wide range of security challenges. Kidnappings have affected communities across different regions. Bandit attacks continue to threaten rural populations. Communal conflicts occasionally erupt with devastating consequences. Urban crime remains a concern in many cities. Cybercrime continues to evolve. At the same time, Nigeria's rapidly growing population places increasing pressure on existing security institutions. Many security analysts believe that expecting one central police organization to effectively police every community in a country of more than 200 million people is becoming increasingly difficult. For supporters of state police, decentralization offers a practical solution. One of the strongest arguments in favor of state police is local knowledge. Police officers recruited from a particular state are more likely to understand local languages, customs, cultural practices, and community dynamics. They may already know areas vulnerable to criminal activity. They understand local terrain. They often recognize long-standing disputes before those disputes escalate into violence. Supporters believe this local knowledge can significantly improve intelligence gathering and crime prevention. Another frequently mentioned advantage is faster response. Because decision-making would take place closer to affected communities, officers may be able to respond more quickly during emergency. Supporters also argue that governors are currently described as the chief security officers of their states, yet they exercise limited operational control over policing. Creating state police, they argue, would better align responsibility with authority. Community trust also forms a major part of the argument. Many successful policing models depend heavily on cooperation between citizens and law enforcement. People are often more willing to report crimes, share information, and work with officers whom they know and trust. Advocates believe locally recruited police officers could strengthen those relationships. Another potential benefit involves reducing pressure on the Nigeria police force itself. Instead of attempting to manage virtually every policing responsibility nationwide, the federal police could devote greater attention to terrorism, organized crime, financial crimes, and other national security priorities. Yet, despite these arguments, opposition to state police remains strong. The biggest concern is political interference. Critics worry that governors could misuse state-controlled police forces to intimidate political opponents, suppress dissent, or influence elections. Nigeria's political history has made many observers cautious about concentrating additional powers in the hands of elected officials without strong institutional safeguards. Funding presents another major challenge. Creating a professional police organization requires substantial financial investment. Uniforms, so patrol vehicles, communication systems, forensic equipment, intelligence technology, continuous professional development. All of these require sustainable funding. While some states may possess the financial capacity to maintain effective police services, others could struggle to meet those obligations. Questions have also been raised about maintaining consistent professional standards across the country. Would every state provide the same quality of training? Would recruitment remain merit-based? Would officers receive equal protection under employment regulations? How would misconduct be investigated? And who would oversee complaints against state police officers? These questions remain central to the national debate. Some Nigerians also wonder whether state police would simply duplicate existing regional security organizations. Across different parts of the country, several community-based security outfits already exist. These organizations generally operate under limited legal authority and often work alongside the Nigeria police force. State police would be different. It would require constitutional recognition, clearly defined powers, legal accountability, and a formal relationship with federal security institutions. Creating such a system would require significant constitutional amendments. Lawmakers would need to determine how responsibilities are shared between federal and state authorities. Independent oversight mechanisms would need to be established to prevent abuse. Clear standards for recruitment, training, and operations would also be necessary to ensure professionalism and protect the rights of citizens. Ultimately, the debate over state police is not simply about creating another security agency. It is about balancing two equally important priorities. On one hand is the need for more responsive, locally driven policing that can better address Nigeria's complex security challenges. On the other is the need to protect democratic institutions, prevent political abuse, and preserve public confidence in law enforcement. Whether Nigeria eventually adopts state police or chooses instead to reform the existing policing system, one fact remains clear. The conversation is far bigger than politics. It is about how a nation of more than 200 million people can build a policing system that is effective, accountable, professional, and trusted by the people it serves. And perhaps that is the real question Nigerians must answer. Not simply whether state police should exist, but how policing itself should evolve to meet the realities of a changing nation. This is V Unfiltered. See you in the next video.